They're coming, Lex. The true bringers of power and chaos. I've seen them. They're already here. And they're more powerful and more deadly than any of us. They will sweep you away. All of you. And not even Ebony can stop them.
Welcome to Series 3, Episode 52, the finale of Conversation in Mountain, our podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining me on the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
Maggie.
Hi.
And Tamsin.
Hello.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 3, Episode 52. The screenplay was done by Tony Osborne. It was directed by John Reed. And the episode synopsis were read out by Sabine.
It's all or nothing as Ebony throws the dice in her attempt to keep hold of her newfound power and position. Alice seeks revenge, whilst the Guardian escapes with Luke, and the true bringers of chaos arrive.
You know, I just want to say this. Watching this today, I had to go back and think about how I felt the first time I watched this season finale. And there was a sadness today, as well as a relief. The relief came from, okay, this whatever of a season is over. We don't have to try to make sense of it anymore. And there was also a relief to having to care about it anymore. I realized when I first watched this back in the day, I was like, oh my gosh, this was such a crazy season. I was so disappointed with where the writing had gone, but I still had hope. There's another season coming. You know, I was excited when I saw the premiere for season 4 because all of that stuff could still be fixed. These characters, there's still stuff you could do with them. Sometimes shows do that. Sometimes they have a bad season. And I had to have that destroyed, realizing that their characters will never be fixed, never be redeemed. That was the last we saw of them. That's what was done with them. That is their legacy, and that sucks so much. You know what I mean? And just my love of the show being stripped from me. And it was like horrible. But watching it this time, having dissect every episode, I just felt a sort of like a relief because it's like, it doesn't get better. I know that now. And I don't care anymore. Like I had that epiphany today. Like
there's no hope.
Yeah, like I'm like, actually this is probably not going to be too bad going through seasons 4 and 5 because my investment is gone. Like I sat through a year, my investment being stripped away from me with every episode. And like it's so sad, but at the same time I was like, yeah, but it can't hurt me anymore. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even matter anymore.
Season 3 cannot hurt you, Liz.
So, you know, that just sets the tone for this. Let's dive in.
Well,
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I just thought, oh, Alice, she'll be free after this.
Yeah, the pain ends, and after that, it's just, it's a curiosity after this.
It's just research now.
so Alice checks in on her sleeping sister before returning to Ned's grave and putting war paint over her face, signaling her all-or-nothing desire to end the Guardian's life. And we soon see her storm off towards them all. So yeah, for this opening scene panel, what did you make of Alice's resolve here? And yeah, any judgments about it?
It's not a bad attempt at the callback to season 2. It doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't even have the same energy. But actually, I think that's kind of interesting that it doesn't have the same energy. Like when she does that, when she realizes that her sister has been given snake oil sales, you know, like it's not even going to help her. She's just getting worse. And she goes out and covers her face in mud. There's a fierce energy that just, you're like, oh boy, somebody's in trouble. You know what I mean? And
somebody's getting a spanking.
Right. And it felt very powerful, and the anticipation of it. And there was just something about it. There was something so primal about the way she put that mud on her face. and so they're clearly trying to call back to that, reminding us that Alice is a warrior, but it doesn't have that same, there's something, what is it, detached, indifferent to her energy here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because the Ned and Alice storyline didn't hit. I don't know if it's because we haven't been spending any time with Alice. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure if it's because I can't connect with her sorrow but it's like a sad replica of what came before.
Well, I don't even think it's how we feel, I think it's how Alice, like, she seems kind of like she's there, she's on a mission, but like there's a light that's not on at this moment.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't.
Yeah, there's no passion.
Yeah. Like she's just in a trance. She's a robot.
Yeah. It did give me, at first, the moment I saw her put that paint on, I was like, the mud on, my brain just went, okay, are we actually getting the old Alice back? There was that slimmer of hope for a moment. Too bad it only lasted a moment. But
she was an autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually kind of interesting, because that's another way grief can take you, to the sense of like, you're not feeling your way through your life, you're just doing what needs to be done. So I do think it's interesting that for Alice, this isn't even a crime of passion. It's just that he needs to go. This needs to be done. I don't even feel a certain way about it. I'm just doing what needs to be done. I'm not saying they did anything with it, but that's an interesting idea behind the scene.
No, I think you summed it up really well, because we haven't spent much time with Alice and her thoughts and her own process over this whole thing, so it's hard to connect with it. And yeah, it's a shame.
I do like the way it's shot, though. If someone had an idea, let's say there was some creative drive behind this scene, the way it's shot actually fuels that sense of indifference and cold detachment and almost just robotic, I'm just doing this because it needs to be done. Like, the lighting is very cool. Her outfit, it's not very fiery. The color correction on it, even her hair doesn't stand out the way it usually does. So, if there was some artistic direction behind it, it looks like it, at least.
I mean, it's an interesting thought, but I mean, just thematically, it kind of fails, like, for me personally, a little bit, because like using the mud off of his grave is like an emotionally charged moment, but we didn't get any of that.
Right.
So to make it feel detached, but you're using like this emotionally charged like scene, the two didn't gel, I guess, for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even like connect the dots of her actually using the mud from his
grave. Yeah,
I didn't even.
They say the motivation, we understand her motivation, but as an audience, we don't really care about Ned. Whereas we did feel sorry when it came to Ellie, and what had happened, like you say, with the snake oil and that sort of thing. So we were emotionally invested in Alice getting her revenge. This time it's just, okay.
Yeah, that's the
Basically
mood.
Okay. Just another person that wants to kill the Guardian.
Yeah.
He apparently meant more to her than we can relate to from what we've seen.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Raise your hand.
When you saw this, did any of you think in any way that she was going to be successful?
I don't know. I can't even answer that, because I do not know how I felt the first time. It was probably a good for you, get him type situation, but I didn't know if
it could have been a really cool way for him to go out.
I was gonna say,
I think that would have been actually really good for her character. Like, even though we don't care that much about her grief because we have no real connection to Ned because of the way they decided to write him, there's something poetic about that's the way he gets taken out. It comes down to a singular person. I don't know. It almost gives a face to the mob of emotions that the whole city has been feeling, and how all of those feelings have been ignored and stuffed down and people just being told to get over it. I think there would have been something poignant about this whole time we're following Alice while the Mallrats are telling everybody else to just get over whatever the Guardian did to them, blah, blah, blah. Alice taking out the Guardian because he killed her lover and destroyed her future that she had
Yeah.
dreamed of, I think would have really personalized the lives that he destroyed, you
Mhm.
know, and
Mm.
that regardless of, you know, Amber or Bray or Tysan's viewpoints on forgiveness and blah, 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 that at the end of the day, he did destroy lives. And you didn't even realize this whole time you were watching one life personally be destroyed, and that person finally being able to, I'm not saying it's right, but I do think it would have said
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It shows how everyone feels outside of them all the people that lost someone.
It might have even made, again, all those kids who are clamoring for the Guardian's death. The narrative is telling us the whole time that they're wrong, you know, and Alice getting revenge personalizes their pain and their
Yeah.
want for revenge. It almost
makes it real.
validates, right? It makes it real. You know, what these people went through, the stories we didn't get to hear or see. Yeah, I think that would have actually been a great way for him to go out. I think even Jaffa would have respected it. So,
No,
Probably.
Yeah.
so this is how I die. It's just like the gypsy lady said.
Oh, okay.
Lysanne saw that in her crystal ball.
I was gonna say Tysan was right.
I think also what just compounds it all is that we don't get a conclusion to it all. That just makes this whole everything that we've been going through just even worse. Like we don't even get a conclusion to it.
Yeah. I would have loved to see them having to deal with Alice having done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I haven't done it before. We had Lex having to deal with what he did even by accident to Zoot. So like it
Mhm.
could have been
Yeah.
done and handled well, but no.
Mhm.
It's the jingling of keys that don't unlock anything.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Missed opportunity button.
And I mean, they've also left it so late as well, haven't they?
Mhm.
After so many episodes of basically nothing happening, a lot of things happen in this episode.
So
And you're like,
quickly.
yeah,
Mhm.
could we not have had this? Could we not have had more of this spaced out, really?
No. Because they didn't know they were gonna do it. Spontaneous.
Well, that it does. I mean, it smacks of that. You get that feeling through this last episode
Yeah.
that it was sort of directionless and there's no real idea of where things are going. It's just happening.
thrown together just to get
That
it.
is wild.
At times, it just feels like they filmed like more episodes and then suddenly realized, oh wait, we already did 51 episodes, so let's shove it all into one. Let's edit it into one episode.
That writer's room must have been a nightmare.
Well, I think I read, and I'm sure you guys can correct me, that sometimes they were getting scripts on the day. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It was just okay, well, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it
And the
look cool.
character,
Oh, you know what?
the character motivations are so affected by the
Oh yeah.
fact
Mhm.
that there is no coherent plot, really. It's just a series of events that are tied together, just like with bits of like string, some old sellotape, you know.
Yeah.
It sometimes feels like there should have been more after this episode, but
Yeah.
the plane was available today.
Right? It's the only day, guys. It does feel like there's a lot of things that could have been like drawn out more and played out
Yeah.
more that they could have fit into other episodes. Yeah. Like everything, there's so many major things that need to happen that they're just trying to squeeze in a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's other things that they could have cut from some of those other episodes as well.
Oh, for sure. Maybe they were just done with season 3 too. They were just done.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us, you know? Over it.
Honestly, I feel like it all this whole thing just revolves around one person who just really wanted Amber to go into preterm labor.
Right.
That was what they saw in their head, and they were like, they retroactively, like, you know, organized the plot just to get there.
Yeah.
Didn't need to make sense. It was
It
just
didn't make sense.
This is really what I really, really want, because I think this is cool, and that is why she is
Don't
everything.
worry.
And
Did anybody else get like
You know what I mean?
Mary
I'm
and
just
Jesus
saying.
vibes when they went into the
We're gonna
bar?
get to that. Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna get to that.
They're
in a bit.
heavily leaning into that.
But yeah,
This,
this disjointed feeling, I think, is just simply because somebody was retroactively working backwards from something they desperately wanted, even if nothing makes sense to get there.
Nothing.
yeah, let's move on to the next scene before we depress ourselves too much. The council of Amber, Bray, Trudy, and Tysan, they discussed their individual suspicions concerning Ebony after what the Guardian had told them.
Now look, the question is, will Ebony submit to an investigation?
A refusal will prove that she's got something to hide. She can't afford to take that kind of risk.
Well, if we're going to do something, we've got to do it now.
So, we're agreed?
So yeah, and like, what did you make of the conversation here between the Morats? And like, did it surprise you that Tysan was uncertain as to whether Lex would support them?
Can I respond to the bit about Tysan and Lex first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so personally, I mean, you and I, Lance, had quite an interesting chat in the Discord about this. And I feel that, firstly, we know that Lex aligns with a lot of what Ebony is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think power plays a part in it. But I also think he's a pragmatist. And I think Tysan knows that at the end of the day, he'll serve his best interest.
Yeah, she knows her husband.
Yeah.
I actually like that, believe it or not. I like it because it once again speaks to the fact that Lex and Tysan don't have to agree on things. It doesn't affect how they feel about each other or their respect for each other. And in that moment, she's just being honest. Like, I love my husband, but we don't agree on certain things, you know, and I don't know where he's going to fall here. I don't know. There's just such a nice, realistic honesty to that. That just can be the case with your partner where you may not align politically or even religiously on something. And it's not a huge contention in their relationship, but it is, you know, and I even like the fact they were like, do you think your husband will be with us on this? And all she can say is, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think it's about him being under Ebony's thumb. Just that we don't have any evidence to show him that this is what should be done or that she's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know.
He does usually need that physically.
Right.
Yeah.
So I liked that honesty. And again, that it's not something he and Tysan are fighting about. You know, there's no anger, just,
yeah,
I don't know if he's going to be on our side on this. We don't have anything to show him. We have nothing that's going to, could weigh him. I also like that it implies that she's not even going to try. Like, you know, there's no sense of like, oh, I can control him. Nobody says, do you think you can convince him to, you know what I mean? It's just, do you think he'll be in agreement with us? And I don't know, you know, I like that. Something about that.
But once again, it shows that they're the most functional relationship in the show.
Which is saying a lot.
That's scary.
But yet, it makes so much sense that Tysan would, you know, realize that she can't be sure about this, because why would her husband take the Guardian's word over Ebony's?
That too.
Out of all the people to take someone's word over, why would he believe in what the Guardian has to say?
Heck, why is even Tysan taking the Guardian's word over Ebony's? You know, but yeah, I also really like, there's a great shot that I like. It's actually quite thoughtful. We see Jack is leaving the mall and he comes across and hears this conversation. And this is one of the only times that I can recall at the moment that a conversation is being overheard. There's no nefarious overtones. We don't even hear the whole conversation because we're supposed to be hearing it from Jack's point of view. Now, usually when somebody's eavesdropping, we know exactly what they're like eavesdropping on. We get a whole context for it, all that stuff. But this is one of the first realistic depictions of how little you actually can understand when a group of people are talking quietly and you just kind of see them. I even like the camera point of view of him kind of looking into the area where they're talking. But it's clearly not a priority to Jack, so he doesn't like poke in further or listen harder. And you only hear a little bit of broken conversation to imply what they're talking about. I don't know why I thought that was so creative, but I just, again, it was. Yeah, I just thought that was a really nice point of view shot as Jack is like, well, I don't know what they're talking about, but I have something to do. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, you know? And then we get into their scene and what they're actually talking about. And that was just really cool.
It also works on the other level because obviously Jack doesn't feel a part of this tribe anymore anyway. He's he's on his way out, so it kind of works on that level too.
Yeah, not his problem. Not his issue to deal with anymore.
As for their conversation, it wasn't a bad one. I was actually surprised that Amber and Bray decided to talk to anybody about their unilateral decision. Again, I was like, so are they going to talk to any tribe leaders about this? Are they going to try to convince anybody else? I mean, okay, you clearly thought we need to talk to somebody, but again, only within our tribe. But I did appreciate that they actually mentioned, would she even submit to something like this? Recognizing that she doesn't have to.
Right. No. Like they really don't have any power.
Right.
Look what they did. Look what they got themselves in.
Yeah, it's why do they think they can make Ebony do anything?
Yeah, I don't know how they thought it was. I really don't know.
It's moral superiority.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Amber, she didn't think it was going to go well.
I mean, the thing is, it's just out of their control now, and they haven't accepted that.
Yeah.
They are trying to hold on to a power that they haven't had for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever really had it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the Morats talk a big game when it comes to democracy, but actually, they're not really big fans of it.
No.
No, they're big fans of dictatorships.
Yes, yeah.
The closest they ever really came to it was in season 1. I mean, if you want...
When they weren't dealing with other tribes?
Yeah, like, if you really... season 1, if you want to look at an actual pantomime of society, season 1 nails it. You know, all these voices trying to come together with a vision. Sometimes the visions even line up, but it's about everybody's idea of how to get there, and the fact that there were a lot of votes. You know, they voted on everything, even whether or not we keep a pregnant girl. You know, it's harsh, but it was democratic. They voted on it. You know what I mean? They had to, even Amber, with her issues with power sometimes, had to work around making sure stuff was still democratic, and she struggled with it, you know? So I that's the season. If you actually want to see democracy in play, everything else after, they kind of just pay a lot of lip service to the idea.
Well, yeah, that's when they start dealing with non-moral, you know?
Yeah, that's what they say. Power reveals. When you give someone the power to do what they've always wanted to do, you find out what it is they've always wanted to do.
Yep.
You know, and at least season 2 explores like the test that you are now under once you finally have your power. And I thought it was pretty honest about the struggle of it for people. But then season 3, it's like, oh, we don't want you to think about it. They're just right. They're just right, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
Your word, the truth, it matters to you, doesn't it?
Of course.
Oh, then what you said yesterday.
May, you're home now. That's all that matters.
Though Pride is simply happy that May is home, the red flags continue to show, forcing May to confront him and ask if he really meant it when he said he loved her. So yeah, panel, what do you make of the continuing decline of Pride?
He is not a good guy. He is not a nice guy.
This is not my Pride.
I actually do feel bad for May.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need to lie to her. Just don't.
It's just the way he said, does it matter? You're home. I mean, jeez. Does it matter what I said yesterday? You're home now.
Yes, sir, it does.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
You know what? After all of this, I'm actually beginning to wonder if May wasn't doing Selena a service when she claimed that Pride said he loved her.
Oh, no. Huh.
Like, this goes up in the cringy bedroom scenes that we get, where a guy's just the cringiest thing he can to a girl the morning after. And I mean, Bray's saying to Danny, it only gets better from here.
Oh my God.
When she would like a definition of what this means. Right? That topped my list until Pride was just like, does it even matter? You're home now.
It does, dude. No.
Wow, Pride. Wow.
Wow.
He's waving every available red flag as well, isn't he?
Like, it's, yeah.
He's just draped himself in a red flag.
What I don't understand,
How
if
did
you're
we
gonna
not see
go
this?
if you're gonna go through all of this trouble to lie to somebody, to gaslight them about how you've treated them, all of that, if you're gonna go through all of that trouble, why would you have this like lack of investment or interest in making sure she believes you?
Right? Like,
that's what I don't get. It's like, okay, fine. If you're going to commit to, I don't want to be a bad guy. I don't want to be seen as a bad guy. I can't face facts about who I am. And then I did a bad thing. If you're going to commit to that, fine. Okay. But okay. So when she's like, did you mean what you said? Shouldn't your answer just immediately be like, of course I did. Right. If you're committed to this lie and you went through all of this, like, I don't know if this was...
Nah.
Was this post-nut clarity? Like, what the frick?
That's exactly what it was.
What happened here? And then realize that you put your foot in and you have to be like, no, of course I mean it. Sorry, I just woke up. You caught me when I was being myself. You know what I mean? Like
when I was speaking the truth.
No, but all he cares about is the fact that she's home now. So it doesn't matter because now he's no longer the guy that drove her away.
Yeah, now he's not responsible for her not being home.
No, she came back.
He got her back. He doesn't have to worry anymore.
He did what he promised.
He knew as soon as he said it. He shouldn't have said it.
Worse than series 1 Lex.
Why on earth did we never see this?
Oh, I did. Sweetie, I'm sorry. I saw this. I always knew this was him.
So many people didn't. They were all like, Pride is this noble and enigmatic individual. Yeah.
This is not a nice guy. This is not what nice guys do.
Ooh.
Like, he's a lot of things.
Oh, well, is he not the definition of a nice guy, though?
I guess okay. I guess if you look at it that way, okay?
No, he's not.
A self-proclaimed nice guy, right?
No, the internet nice guy.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a really nice guy. You know.
Not a true he would call himself a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, and Amber, I don't know why you wouldn't want to be. I'm such a good guy.
Exactly. I deserve sex. I've been so nice to you.
Yes.
Look at it. Look at me, Amber. I'm the real eco warrior here.
And like, here's the thing, okay? Pride said what he said to May to get her home, and then he slept with her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he clearly doesn't even feel guilty about lying to her because he definitely jumped into bed with her
immediately.
And, like, he loves all this, which again, I'm not even saying that that's terrible.
And May understands that too.
He doesn't feel guilty at all.
No,
for lying to her face. He just what I get from his actions and that look on his face after she turns away, as he lies to her again, is crap. He's worried about what have I gotten myself into, and how do I extradite myself from this situation. Not this is a terrible thing to be doing to her. Like,
right.
I've never gotten that vibe that he feels bad for doing this to her.
No.
Just that, I'm in deeper than I wanted to be, and I really don't know how to get out of it because I still really want to sleep with her. I really want to keep doing that.
I do like that part.
That's great.
I want to keep doing that, and I want Amber to see me as a nice guy.
I just want her to not be around when I don't want her to be around.
And just not talk.
Yeah,
as if there was like a pump that you could blow her up with, and then pack her away into a suitcase when you didn't need her anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't want actual human interaction. Right.
No.
He wants to blow up.
He just wants a sex doll. Yeah.
He wants the convenience of her comfort, her help, her devotion to what matters to him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really show any interest in what May likes or what she wants. So he appreciates all of that and the validation he gets from her and stuff.
And he thinks she's pretty.
She's pretty, and he wants all that, but he's just like, I don't want the responsibility that comes with all the other stuff.
I don't want to have to take care of you.
Right. I don't want to owe you anything or...
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask, does anyone think it would be different if they were in the Gaians, the Eco Tribe, and Amber wasn't around? Does anyone
think Amber was a non-factor? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But Amber is a factor.
Yeah.
For now.
I don't know. I can't even say that. I mean, it's easy. I mean, on one hand, it's like, yeah, he's still in love with Amber. That's who he wants to be with. But even if Amber were gone, the point is that he doesn't love May.
Yeah.
It's not like he's conflicted between the two of them. like, oh my gosh, she's so great, but I still have this burning love for Amber. No, he's not even in love with May.
No.
You know, he has the barest essential of affection for her. He cares about her as a human being, and he enjoys her company as long as it's catering to him. You know, he's never asked May, what would you like to do today? You know what I mean? Like, show me what you're interested
so how
in.
Goes it?
Exactly. He doesn't care about any of that. So I don't think that if Amber was out of the picture that it would improve he and May's relationship.
Yeah.
Amber is a reminder that he wants something else, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't love May.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think she is definitely not like the type of woman that he would want to have. Like, he wouldn't want to take her home to his mother. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
She's a super freak. The girl is a gay now.
What
The kind of girl you don't take home to mother. Sorry.
But like, what do we think the writers were trying to do with this?
Keep Pride busy.
Yeah.
Do you think they were just continuing to ruin his character?
They do just
I mean, they do.
to ruin his character.
they do.
This never gets better.
It keeps getting worse.
That's like, you know, they wanted him to play with some other...
See, he can't be better than Bray.
Yeah.
Okay?
He can't be, because Bray has to be the superior choice for
Right.
Amber.
And then now, you know, later on, he can't be better than the other person.
Yeah, and at this point in time, they figured, okay, they didn't see Trudy as an actual human being, so May was what was left to, you know, have him sleep with. Because they hadn't realized they could do that to Trudy as well.
Well, May made sense, though, okay? May did make sense. Like, it did make sense that, you know, she would go after Pride, and then he, you know.
And I'd also say, if you threw Trudy into the mix, because she's got the, you know, Brady, it would make Pride look the low. I mean, he looks low now, but the bar
They
would
don't
be
need
in
that.
hell. You know,
no.
we don't need that. No.
At this point in time, they still have some scruples about how low they want him to look. Like, one, yes, this is so that the whole point, it started with May because Pride could not look like a better option for Amber. It's sort of like that Twilight thing with Edward and Jacob. The writer had mistakenly had a book where Edward's out of the picture. He'd already been set up as a terrible boyfriend. And then she brought in this other person who turned out to be a much better match for her heroine. She realized her mistake when the fans latched onto him. And they're like, oh my gosh, Team Jake, he's so great. He's a great guy.
Uh-oh.
What she had to do in the third book was completely destroy him as a person to propel her real love story. She never meant for you to fall in love with Jake. He was never supposed to be an option for Bella. But the fans were like, but he's so great. He's actually a nice guy. And then so the third book, she was like, no, he's not. He's the worst person ever. Right? Exactly. And so that's what happened to Pride. Like, Pride was never really supposed to be an option for Amber, but they introduced him as such a great person that fans were like, yeah, why would she and Bray get back together? Like, Pride's awesome. And they were like, that's a mistake. Let's destroy him. And so that was the number one reason for the decline in Pride's character. They, instead of just making Amber and Bray better, let's just make her his competition worse.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's such a shame.
And then it kept him busy. You know, it was like, oh, that's at least a plot line that ties up these characters.
But it's such a shame because I think you raised a couple of weeks ago, ages ago when I was last on here, I think it was you who raised this point, that it would have been more interesting for Bray and Amber if it had been harder to pick between Pride and Bray. Like, maybe Pride was better on paper, but it cemented the fact that Amber really loved Bray. They belonged together.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good point that you made, and would have been much more interesting, I think, to watch, just seeing it more conflicted.
This was easier.
Yes, that's what it comes down to. They're picking the easiest storyline, the simplistic storytelling. You know, I keep saying the word nuance to the point I'm sick of the word. Because when you take this sort of love triangle to, again, season 1, I'm going to be invoking your name for the next 2 years, even more than I have. But you can find similar storylines in season 1 where this is done so much better, where it's like, for example, if you want an interesting love triangle, take Celine, Trudy, and Bray. There is so much depth in this circle of people and why, like, the ties between them, their attraction to each other, why it's there, why they might not be attracted to the other person. It's not the simplistic story of it's just Celine and Trudy fighting over a boy. You know, there's so much more behind why they both want him, why he feels torn between them, his own feelings about them personally, you know, that it's interesting. And there's consequences, real consequences. Even Zandra, Lex, and Ryan. There's so much going on there. You know, Amber and Sasha and Bray. You know, Tysan, Lex, and Zandra.
Lex and Alice.
Yeah, there's so much. These are actual individuals who have feelings for a person based on who they are, their past experiences, their past traumas, on and on and on, and what they're bringing to a pairing. And it's not about which one's better. It's more about which people complement each other. You know, Bray was a douche and Sasha was sunshine, but there are ways that Amber and Bray connected that she and Sasha never could, you know, and that's why for her, he was the better match, even if, you know, Sasha checked all the boxes in so many ways. And so there was just a lot of depth there as to why people are torn between, you know what I mean? They don't want to do that. That's long gone. It's the most simplistic version of the love triangles. I honestly think that Jack and Ellie and Luke is the last complicated love triangle we ever get that has actual depth to it, you know?
Yeah.
I always wondered, though, if they... Now, we don't know when they knew that Dwayne was leaving, but I wonder if they made Pride even worse in those last few episodes just so we knew Pride and Amber would never be an option after Bray was gone. Just to make that even more clear.
I mean, they should have, in that case, they should have done the opposite. They should have built Pride up, knowing if they were going to lose Dwayne, that he was going to be a good suitable replacement.
Well, yeah, but if they had already
not who they
decided,
wanted.
It's
but
not
knowing they were going to lose Bray.
But they knew Pride was not the kind of guy they envisioned to be with Amber. So it feels like...
He was initially. You know what I mean? Like, they hadn't started him off like that. They just ruined him because of they wanted Amber and Bray to be together. But like, if they knew that Dwayne was going to be not gone, they could have done it in season 4. They could have built Pride back up. But obviously they wanted Jay. So
they wanted Jay. That's
They
why.
wanted the other one.
The other one, yeah.
The other A.
The other A, and Pride's not that.
Yeah, Sabine's right. They didn't improve Pride because, again, this is the most simplistic storytelling. You're jingling to third graders here, and you don't want anybody to see Pride as an option for Amber, even when he's literally the only one left. You know, even when they're going to still have him obsessed with her, they do not want the fans to be rooting for the two of them.
We need to see that Pride's not worthy of Amber ever.
All right, panel, let's continue on.
After Ebony set me free, while I was waiting for Tai-San, I saw something. Do you want to know what it was? It was the future, Lex.
So yeah, panel, this was an incredible shock at the time, but do you remember what your initial thoughts were concerning all of this?
He should have listened.
Yeah.
You should have taken him seriously.
I wondered what... It did really make me wonder what the Guardian had seen and what he knew.
Yeah. Like, okay, the Guardian was crazy. All right, he was crazy and he, you know, believed some things, but I don't think he was a liar.
No.
Lex should have listened.
I wish I'd known what he had seen too, because again, the way season 4 establishes the Technos, they were nowhere near this island. No, they were nowhere near this area. They didn't have any scouts out there. And so I'm like, what could he have seen? I feel like this is again one of those over promises. And it's a bummer because I remember when I first saw it, I was incredibly intrigued. What did the Guardian see when he was roaming out there? You know, and then of course all the stuff that starts to happen in this episode, you're just like, oh my gosh, what did he see? What is going on? Especially the fact that he's trying to get away from it. That's interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was intrigued at the time, but at this point in my life, it just, as a writer, just feels like they're overpromising what's coming next season. Keep watching, okay?
Yeah.
It's going to get great, guys. We promise. It's going to be so much better.
It's going to be the best season.
It's going to be the best season. it's going to be something you've never seen before. You know, it's an
Don't
over
invest in any of
promise.
these characters.
Mhm.
You won't even
Yeah,
miss these
fair.
people. It's going to be that good.
Oh.
I think it's interesting that they kind of make that Lex is the one that he tells. Because Lex is a bit of a Cassandra in this situation, because even if he had told him more information, who on earth is going to really trust Lex? Who is going to believe him when he tells them these things?
Yeah, well, Lex
I don't know.
tends to get
I don't
told
know.
stuff by people in cages.
I was going to say, I hate this trope that they do with Lex. I hate that
Yeah.
it plays over and over again. It's like, oh,
That's what I thought
please.
too. I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, it's Lex, and it's like, okay, let's tell him the suspicious guy. And at the end of the day, what he learns doesn't mean anything. At the end of the day, what he's being told is a promise. It's all done as a promise to make you come back for the next season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's just to make you come back and think this is going to get better. You're going to finally get answers. You know, it's just an overpromise, and it's always underwhelming. You're never going to get answers to anything. They're just going to keep stringing you along in the hopes that you'll watch one more episode for those ratings, baby.
But obviously, not knowing what was going to come, it was exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, at the time.
Yeah.
It was like, ooh, what did he see? So yeah, it's an intriguing question, but it means nothing in the grand scope.
Yeah.
Which is just a shame. I'll give it credit. I think the framing of the shots in the scene are good. I don't know, there's something about the symmetry. There's this one shot of Lex and the way the lights are framing him, and he's standing there in all his self-importance, talking to the Guardian. And at first I'm droning it out because he's just saying what he's always saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, Lex, why are you even here talking to the Guardian? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what is this about, really? But I was like, the frame, just the iconic, there was just that shot of Lex with the light, the candles around him. And there's something about it I thought was just really impactful. And then, of course, the Guardian with the bars. And so somebody was caring a lot about the scenes they were capturing. I mean, we're never going to get the creativity of Costa again, but
He does later episodes.
they got him to come back.
Yeah.
And yeah, before we move on, what did you think the plane represented?
A plane.
I
mean, yes, Tamsin.
Transportation.
She's like, it was a plane.
City.
It was obviously a plane.
In the context of Tribe World. Yes, that's what I thought too. It's a plane.
It's a plane.
What that signifies, I actually liked the idea of upping the ante, because that is something that has always been like the symbolism of the ruling powers. They usually have bigger toys, you know? And so even when the show is first introduced, the fact that the Locos and the Demon Dogs both used police cars, that was how they showed their power. That's how they intimidated people. The Locos would literally just ride around in the police car with the sirens going. They had no real objective. It was just about showing that we got the biggest toys. You know, we're more powerful than you. Everybody else is running around on foot or skateboards and things like that. The mode of transportation was a symbol of the way you were getting through life, you know, and whether you were smart enough, like Amber and Dal, using your rollerblades, quiet but quick, you know, getaways and stuff like that. Bray, his coolness, he's on a skateboard, you know what I mean? He's getting someplace quickly, but it's also a smart mode of transportation. Everybody else is on foot, things like that. And then, of course, you had to up the ante with the Chosen. They don't just have cars, they got vans, these decked out vans where they can snatch people, and they're blacked out windows and stuff, you know, these menacing grills on them and stuff. It was a symbol. So to bring in a plane really ups the ante of power about your next opposing person. Like, what if they got a plane? Not only is that clever, like they had to be smart, they had to be educated, they had to be taught to fly this. You know, that just says a lot about your new enemy. Death from above.
I'm going because a man has got to have adventures. You know, how about that? And who knows, I might even find someone out there like you.
You're still hurting, aren't you? And it's all my fault.
Nah. No, maybe a nickel every now and then. You know?
You're a really sweet guy, Jack.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, it gets a bit easier in time.
So yeah, just what did you make of Jack having to comfort Ellie during all of this?
He did choose to. I think that's important to remember. He does know she's in love with somebody else. He knows she's just been deserted by that person. If he doesn't want to deal with the fact that she's going to be mourning that person, don't even bother. If you don't want to hear your ex lament their new ex, don't go see them, okay? Just accept that that's going to be a part of the equation. If you don't want to hear them crying about that person because it makes you feel, just don't go. But he chose to go see her. He is concerned for her. He cares about her. She is his friend at the end of the day. And she's the one person he says goodbye to. I think that's important to know. He didn't bother saying goodbye to anybody else in the mall. It's not like he didn't see people and he didn't care enough to say, hey guys, I'm leaving. You know, I just want to say goodbye. It's Ellie he wanted to say goodbye to because she is his friend. They did form a genuine friendship. I think that speaks to the fact that Ellie is as honest with him about her feelings. You know, is it insensitive? Yeah, but it's not like Jack hasn't been insensitive to her or anybody else in the past. So, I mean, that's just tit for tat right there. That's their relationship. They just say what they think and feel to each other. I think it's a really beautiful moment of two people who genuinely care about each other. You know, it's very gracious. The fact that Ellie does feel comfortable enough to just be honest with Jack, knowing that I'm going to say things you don't want to hear, but I also know that you're my friend and that you're the one person I can tell these things to. I can't even talk to my sister. She's out of her head right now. You're the one person I have, that I can talk to. I mean, it's not like Jack didn't do these things with Dal, knowing full well that Dal was in love with Ellie, and yet he knew he still could talk to him because Dal was his friend and Dal was going to listen regardless of his feelings. I like the fact that Jack wanted to say goodbye to Ellie. Tyson and Lex, yes, a very healthy relationship, which is insane. But I think Ellie and Jack proved to be even healthier and more realistic of two people growing up together who care about each other at the end of the day, regardless of where their romantic feelings may lay at any given time. And so for me, I thought it was a really healthy display, especially to a young audience, of two people handling a difficult situation in a very respectful and mature way. They don't have to hate each other. They can still love each other, even if the love isn't romantic on both sides. That's just my 2 cents.
It's scenes like this that make me really like Jack. Out of all the guys we've seen lately in this mall, he's the one with, he's willing to be there for someone who's hurting, even though knowing that the things he'll say will hurt him as well. And he just pushes his own feelings aside to comfort her.
Jack is what I call a really good example of a massive character change, but there's a good enough reason for it. Sometimes characters leave and then they come back and it's like a pod person. And let's just face it, Jack came back very different than when he left. Let's just remember who Jack was in seasons 1 and 2. You may have found him endearing, but he was a selfish, abusive jerk in many ways. Yeah. It was just couched in being cute. That's all it was. But he wasn't very unlike Lex in the way he treated people. He just didn't have the same kind of physical power to enforce that like Lex did. He comes back, this mature, caring, empathetic, gentle person, and who actually treasures the connections he has with people. Now, normally I would hate that. I'd be like, what is this? This isn't the same character. But because of what Jack went through, I buy it. It doesn't bother me that Jack grew that much because of his chosen captivity and separation from everybody. Granted, we don't get the details that I would have really loved, but I'm like, I just feel that is enough of a traumatic event to go through to really force you to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even that much of a Jelly fan. People loved them and I didn't get it. They were just young people and I wasn't that invested in Jack or Ellie. But I gotta say, having watched this again, they are becoming my favorite couple.
Yeah.
Because again, I have a much greater appreciation for healthy relationships than I did when I was younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even in my early 20s, I was like, drama, bring it on. But you know, now it's like I really appreciate the egalitarian nature between them and how healthy. And it's just so great seeing two people grow together, grow up together. You know, there's such a great example that this is the way it can be. It's not that they don't have the emotions. It's not that they don't hurt each other or get upset with each other, but just watching them grow up from being two 13-year-olds who are posing and trying to impress the other and insensitive sometimes, and just and seeing them become who they become. When I think of Jack and Ellie being together in season 5, I'm like, nobody deserved this more than they did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
I'm like, this is well earned. They worked for this.
Scariest thing? Even I agree with that.
It's like, wow. You can just, wow. Really, really well done. I love his advice to her. Again, in this moment, he's just being her friend. He's not being her ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He's being her friend and treating her like someone he cares about. And I like that it's not cringy, that he's like, I can tell you that it does get better. He's clearly speaking of his own experience of losing her. And I just like the way she takes it. She understands the gracious way he means that. He's not poking her in the eye. He's not kicking her while she's down. It's so genuine, and she recognizes how genuine that is. And then, of course, I like how that transitions to talking about Alice. I thought that was actually really well done, because how do you jump from this moment to speaking about Alice? You know, I thought they did a great job with that.
And you see the potential that is within them to become what they're going to be. The potential of them as a couple is so strong in these scenes, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
After all these years, so do I.
Yeah, no, I never got on board with the Luke and Ellie thing, you know? But I was very proud of Jack for going off on dead, you know? Telling him off and telling him how much it would hurt Ellie. And that showed that Jack had that little bit of growth. You know, he had some time to it. I'm proud of him and the growth that he's made, leaving and coming back.
I also appreciate that it's not like Jack's a simp for Ellie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
He genuinely just cares about her.
Right. It's not like with poor Ryan, who's just turned into a doormat as an expression of love for it's like, that's not love, sweetie. You know, what you're feeling, it's a sense of no self-worth, that you'll put up with whatever this person does to you to prove that you love them. Like, I just think that Jack's love for Ellie is much more healthy, because he does have his boundaries, what he's not going to put up with, what he's not going to be around. You know, he's not waiting around to get crumbs of affection from Ellie. He's not waiting for, well, when you find out he's not the guy for you, maybe you'll notice I'm here. You know, he's not. No, it's an acceptance that I'm not your choice, but I can still care about you and want the best for you, even if I can't be around you. No hard feelings. Like, I'm working through this. And so I really appreciate that too, because, you know, as a message to young males and females, because too much romance teaches young females that that's what love is. A guy who just waits around, does everything for you. Like, that's not love, sweetie. It's actually really unhealthy.
Kind of toxic.
It's very toxic. So I was like, oh, that's actually really nice too. You know, that Jack's not just sitting around waiting for Luke to drop the ball.
Yeah, he's still leaving.
Right. He's like, I'm out, but I wanted to say goodbye to you.
Just wanted to say bye.
And make sure you're okay, you know?
No, and in that, even the little detail that when he was going towards Ellie, he saw Alice and he actually tried to make contact with Alice for a moment.
I still was like, how did Alice not hear him?
No, she didn't, but, you know, he made an attempt. He wasn't going to say goodbye to anyone else, but he made an attempt when he saw Alice.
It's actually, you can tell he's concerned.
Yeah, that's what, you know.
Yeah, like,
where the heck is she going?
Well, it goes back to that the lights are on but nobody's home thing that Alice was doing, and Jack could see that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alice, wasting no time, she knocks Lex out cold with a solid right hook before turning to face the Guardian.
The only one with enough courage to present me with the ultimate gift.
This is not a gift! It's revenge!
Do you miss him, Alice?
You took him away from me!
He's not worth it, Alice.
However, Luke, who hasn't gone 10 feet from the wall, pleads with Alice to not go through with it. And this leads to the Guardian subduing Luke and escaping. So yeah, what were your thoughts on these scenes, panel?
Okay, can I just say something? Where is Lex getting those batteries from? Because I put batteries in my remote and I swear to you, 3 months later I need to change them. It's been at least...
Oh, it's no 3 months with Game Boys, trust me.
Because I need to find out where he's getting it from, you know?
Ebony, I mean, she is his battery supplier. That's why he will never turn on her.
He's sheriff now. Yes, Lex is the original example of no pay, no play.
And no batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a couple questions about the setup for this. Okay, my first positive, I do love the affectionate way Alice takes Lex out. It was almost like a nice touch on the fact that she does care about Lex. He was her friend and her love interest at one point. So when she punches him, she makes sure to catch him and lay him down gently. It's very clear this is not an aggressive act from her against him personally.
Yeah.
He's just an obstacle. He needs a nap, right?
Yeah. Just take a break. Yeah.
There was just something about that I thought, oh, that was sweet, right? Like these two kids being playing around again. That's so adorable.
Aww.
Isn't this how their friendship started? I love it. But there are some other things that I thought were strange. The setup for this, you have Casey seeing, Chloe and the twins. That's kind of an odd scene. Casey literally needs to be reminded that the twins lost their brother. It's like the script remembered the twins exist and needed a shot of them running off, and Chloe's the one who has to remind him, like, brother. Like, of course, Casey's like, I got another scam. Like, you have nothing else you could do with him. But this scene is obviously here for a reason because Luke is about to leave because he hasn't yet, which is weird. Like, why are you...
Jack left before him.
Where were you? Were you back in your rafter apartment, Luke? Where were
He was hiding behind the candles. It's his favorite place.
Like, it's just
We don't
weird.
talk about Bruno.
He went out of his way to give the letter to Luke. I mean, give the letter to Jack. Yet he's still somewhere in the mall. This whole time, he's just been chilling in the mall.
Watching everything.
With the rats.
Like,
yeah.
Like, why? Why were you still there? And so we see that scene, and the whole point of that is so that we can see him going back in because he sees Alice arrive. And I'm like, why were you there, Luke? Why are you here at all for any of this? Why do you need to be here for the finale? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why Luke needs to be here.
I felt that way the whole time.
I actually would have loved it if Alice isn't going to kill the Guardian, which I totally thought that would have been a great way for him to go out, for her to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Something very sobering about the fact that Amber and Bray cannot stop the grief in the city.
Yeah.
Instead of dealing with it, they wanted everyone to suppress their grief. And here's the explosion of trying to suppress that grief.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been very sobering, But okay, if she's not going to kill him, I would have preferred it if it wasn't Luke that talked her out of it. I don't know why Luke would. What is the point of Luke talking her out of killing the Guardian?
The only reason I can come up with for that is that Luke was feeling a lot of self-hatred for the things he did, and he didn't want Alice to have to deal with something like that.
All right, I'll give you that.
All I can think.
With a death on her conscience.
But at the same time, Luke doesn't care.
No.
My question, though, is why do they believe that anyone would think that the Guardian would become a martyr when the mob outside are baying for his blood? Like, why is that one of the things that Luke uses to talk Alice out of doing it? Everybody wants this guy dead.
Yeah, they haven't done a good job setting up that reasoning because we haven't seen any Chosen who are still holding on to the faith anywhere. Every Chosen we've been introduced to, like, they scattered immediately, and the only Chosen we've seen since are people who have tried to integrate themselves back into society.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We haven't seen any pockets of Chosen believers who are still praying for Zoot to come back or the Guardian to be restored. Nothing. There's none of that.
That's why that doesn't work, yeah.
So there's no setup that he'd be a martyr to anybody that would matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if only we'd gotten a glimpse of former chosen still gathering somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Breaking up
help
them
so
or
much.
just running, scared, or just meeting in private. They're dressed like everybody else. And then it's like that lovely reveal of what's going on in Trudy's head. You see, you know something's off, and then you finally get the reveal. Oh, she's broken. You know what I mean? Because she's, you know what I mean? That nice reveal there. That would have been cool, so that it actually would make sense with him saying, "You'll just make him a martyr." Because that actually gets through to Alice, and it's like that shouldn't be what gets through to her. I would have preferred Alice if she's not going to kill him. I'd rather Luke had nothing to do with it. Maybe he could be, I don't know. But again, I'm still just like, why is Luke even here for this?
So the Guardian could take him.
And again, why?
Because he's his lieutenant. It's the only way.
Yeah.
Because, the Guardian lost Zoot. He can't lose Luke, too.
It's like when serving Ebony, Luke realized he wanted his true master back.
I'd also say that they've run out of ideas for Luke, and they're doing the right thing. They're kind of shipping
Getting
Luke,
rid of him.
the Guardian. Yeah, but they're doing it in a way which they can bring him back at a later date if they want to.
If they need. Yeah.
If Luke had stuck around, he would have ended up a lieutenant for the Technos, and we couldn't have that because they already had one.
Ugh,
No,
I'm sorry.
Luke never had main character.
I hated this. Luke should already be gone. He should already be gone.
Long gone.
If you really need him in that last scene with the Guardian, they could just run into each other in the wilderness.
Right,
Whatever. I don't need him here for this Alice situation. It doesn't work. They didn't set it up for Luke to have any influence over Alice or to give a crap about Alice doing this. And so just get him out of there. If Alice isn't going to kill the Guardian, I want it because she decides not to. Okay?
Yeah.
For her strength of character. Give her that for Pete's sake. That Alice
let her redeem that.
Realizes in this moment that he's not worth this blood on her hands. He's not worth it.
Yeah, and an interesting way you could have done that is maybe he starts to goad her with things Ned said before he dies, and rather than it have the effect that she decides to kill the Guardian, it has the opposite effect. And like you say, he's not worth it. She's not going to do it.
Or we could take your idea.
Or Ned isn't worth it.
And, okay, so apparently this is so traumatizing for Alice that she's a broken mess who can't even explain what the frick happened, okay, after this. So, I actually like the idea of the Guardian goading her, because we already know he had the ability to get to Alice. He'd done it before in season 2, and hit her hard with these cruel words about the fact that the two people she loved in the world both betrayed her by hooking up behind her back, okay? And she looks at him and she just says, "Damn you." He was getting close to home. You know what I mean? So I would have liked a replay of that, of him saying those awful things to her, replaying Ned's death. And that's what leaves her a broken mess.
Yeah.
That's why she's so incoherent, because he just dredged up all her trauma and then shot her in the face with it. And she can't even function at that moment. You know what I mean? Like, she'd probably had to shut off her emotions to try and do this Terminator thing. And then she pulls a Sarah Connor and just breaks down and realizes what she's turned into. Like, if you need her to be this blubbering, broken mess, then I'd love it if the Guardian was the one who got her there. You know what I mean? Like, just get Luke out of here. I don't need him here for this scene. Because this scene, as is ridiculous.
The fact that she doesn't even try to help Luke. She just sits there, and it's like, it is that this is the lowest bar for Alice's character. This is it now.
She let him walk.
Yeah, this is just so depressing. We've reached the zenith.
Oh, she was in such a state that she now believes that she honestly killed the Guardian. That is what we end up with.
That's insane.
No. Yeah, I totally forgot about that part.
No. We have to talk about that. Like,
no.
But my question is, where are the bodies? Like, Bray seems to have
magic.
killed him. What did she do? Eat him?
Oh no! No.
That's the first question that anybody would honestly have. Okay, where's his body? Where's the body of the Guardian? That's you're all looking around as if, is he underneath the stairs? Like, what were you thinking? Like,
this makes no sense. This is so dumb.
Is the body in the room with us?
Does she honestly think Luke took care of it for her?
Oh my gosh! Like, this is so stupid.
They dropped the ball in this.
I can't.
Wait a
even
second, though. I
believe-
need clarification.
ends.
Does anybody else believe that she killed them?
They all do.
They all do.
They all do.
These guys honestly believe that Alice came in, iced the Guardian, dragged his body somewhere, but is now, and then came back.
Came back to cry in the cage.
And she's too incoherent to explain what she's done. All she can say, and even Alice being the way she is, he's gone. Alice, he escaped. What do you mean? You shouldn't be relieved. Why are you relieved? He's now free in the world. Like, what
You
the
set him
frick?
loose.
You set him
Saying
loose.
it like she believes she actually killed him, but like,
Yeah,
it
he's gone.
doesn't work.
What, did he promise he's going to leave the city and that's why you feel relieved? Like, okay, Alice, I know I did you dirty, but you know what? I'm leaving. So you won't ever have to think of me again. And she's like, okay, that's the next best thing. Thank God. He's gone. He's gone.
Because everything we know about Alice, she would never be like that.
No.
She would always think about what's best for everybody else. She puts her own needs before everybody else.
But she's not
everybody
Alice
else.
right now.
No, who is she? Who is
She's got
she?
dead Ned brain, okay?
I am trying really hard to think of a scenario where Alice crying in relief that he's gone because he's physically removed
So she doesn't
makes
actually
sense.
think she killed him.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be like, why? How do you get Alice to a point where the idea of the Guardian simply being removed from the situation would make her cry in relief?
He's gone.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, but he's gone and everything's better now, right? Like, I'm trying to rack my brain for the scenario where that makes sense, and I can't.
The only thing I can come up with is if she honestly thinks that Luke is just dragging his body with him instead of the other way around.
Like, why would she feel relieved if Luke is, I'm going to take him away? She doesn't trust Luke. She's never liked Luke.
No.
So why would that make you, why wouldn't, I would be like, no, I don't feel safe with you taking him away. I have no trust that you're going to do anything proper with him. There is no scenario I can come up in my brain. And the thing is, I had to do these kind of writing exercises. Everybody would have to write down an absurd sentence. And then they'd put them in a hat, and then you'd pick an absurd sentence, and then you'd have to write a story where that sentence made sense. And so I'm looking at this one where he's gone. It's all better now. And I'm like, everything I've got, you've given me nothing to work with to make this story make sense with this sentence. And then for Bray to be like, you wasted the Guardian. She said he's gone, Bray.
She didn't say she killed him.
He's not in the room anymore. There's no body in hell. Bray.
Oh, no.
Bray, this is the dumbest you've ever been. Bray. I'd understand as they found her out back, like wandering around the mall, and they were like, the Guardian's gone, and Alice is out here in a deranged state, and then she says, he's gone.
He's gone.
I'd think she took his body out to the creek or something, you know what I mean? And she's in no state of mind to explain what she's just done. But she's in next to the cage, so you're logically assuming she killed him, she took him away, did something with his body, and then came back to the cage in the amount of time it took you to confront Ebony. Like, there's not...
The thing that makes it even more inconceivable is the amount of time it took her to achieve all this.
The time!
No, let's not forget, though, her boyfriend was the sort of person who could take two women and move them out of a mall to another location without a wheelbarrow or a vehicle.
Over one, each, one over one shoulder.
He just teleported through the mall, and now Alice goes through space-time continuum to commit this crime. I could not.
I get why they were a couple.
You guys... First time I ever watched this, and Bray said that was when he's like, Alice, what happened? And she's just like, he's gone, and everything's gonna be okay now. He goes, you wasted the Guardian. I was like, Bray,
no,
precious baby Bray. I have defended you for 3 seasons.
I no longer can.
Bray, you have never been this dumb. Did they just want to end everybody at their lowest point? I don't know. Right.
Yes, I'm not gonna say. I genuinely believe that.
Right. This is worse than you putting your arms around Ebony when you're trying to win Amber back because you don't know why she's mad at you. And Ebony's just like, but I'm cold. And you're like, go on the bus. And she's like, can you just hold me a minute? And you're like,
Okay.
I don't see any problems with that. Sure. Like, Bray, this is the stupidest.
I mean,
you have
This is
ever
the dumbest thing you've ever done.
in the tiniest tribe world defense, saying gone in
No.
tribe world is like dead. It means dead.
in context, Lance, it doesn't work.
Gone means that dead, yeah, deceased. In
Where
tribe world.
is the body?
I thought wasted meant dead.
Look,
too, yeah, wasted. Anything but the word
Gone.
dead.
look,
Gone.
when the
deleted.
But Chloe was gone too.
when Zoot is laying sprawled out on the ground after he flew over the balcony,
He's not gone.
if someone said he's gone, then yes, it is totally cool for everyone to say, oh, he's dead. Because there's a freaking body right in front of them.
The only thing that can make me believe that they, because I'm looking back at what he said exactly. When everybody came in, the only words Alice says, I had to bury him.
My God, so they think
Oh.
she buried him.
She
the first thing
did
she
say
says.
that about Ned in her incoherent rant.
Yeah, but
I had to bury him.
it's like I had to bury him, and then Bray kneels down and says,
You
"Tell
wasted
us,
him.
Where is he?"
Yes.
And her response is hell.
Yep, I remember. Yep.
I'm sorry. You guys are never going to make this work for me. I'm sorry.
They tried.
I appreciate the effort, but no, because
But that's
there's
the exact wording.
the context clues. I'm sorry. The context clues, that is not the conclusion I would immediately jump to. That she killed him in the amount of time it took us to confront Ebony, and she came back here, and there's not a shred of evidence on her that she did anything to anybody.
There's mud on her face, so she must
She's
have
got
buried him.
mud on her face.
There's a stripe
And
down
on
her
her hands.
nose. That is no different than any of
She
their
didn't wash
tribal
her hands.
makeup. Like, no, there's nothing you can say to make this work. Nothing. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate the effort. Those are some
I appreciate that was the wording they used.
mighty fine
Her-
straws you are grasping.
Mm.
Well, they did it.
Well, if it helps, I never even heard her say that.
Yeah, no,
I did.
because I remember it now. Now that Sabine mentions it,
So that's what she's mumbling when they get there, when they're standing around her.
because she's with Ellie. Yeah.
Like, I don't
Oh,
mind
bury him.
if they're suspicious that she killed the Guardian, but the fact that there aren't more questions or, like, we gotta look into this, or just the immediate
Just
assumption
arrest
from
her.
every single person, she killed him
Mm.
and did something mysterious with the body and came back to the crime scene.
Oh, she buried him.
We don't need any evidence. We don't need to be taken to the place. We're just going to arrest her. We're not even going to look into this. We're just going to take her incoherent words for this because she's in the perfect state of mind. You guys wouldn't even try the Guardian, but you're going to arrest Alice
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in this moment. Like, why are you decisive in everything when it comes to protecting the Guardian's life, Bray? I don't know. This scene breaks me. I'm broken. It's over. The tribe will never really be good again. It'll be amusing. It'll be entertaining, but it'll never be good
I'll
again.
never feel
Yeah.
the same.
It's over. Season 3, I'm going to give you props. Every time I thought you couldn't go lower, you did. Like, you're so ambitious in that. It's really
But
impressive.
not much else.
Wow.
And it's just so sad. This is how we leave Alice. This is
Ah.
it. Until that one scene in season 5. This is it.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm so sad.
It's such a poor serve for her character.
It is for such an amazing
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
You couldn't have got me to come back if you decimated my character this way.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah, that's
And I have to say, she's never stopped being good as an actress. She's
Oh,
always
yeah.
brought
Yeah.
her A game to it. However bad the material was, she's always brought her A game to it.
Mhm.
And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
shows what a professional she is.
100%. Unbelievable. And of course, Luke in the Vulcan neck grip. Luke, did you
Why
forget
does
you
he
have...
never
Did he forget he has arms?
Yeah, but he must have just got that pressure point. Is all I can think is that
The
Guardian somehow knows.
picked him up like a stray cat.
I mean,
Well, that's what he is.
I mean, we know that the Guardian has mean fighting skills.
Yes.
So we know that.
So he just knew a pressure point to just get him to submit, like a kitten.
I'm sorry.
It does hurt though. Like if someone's grabbing your shoulder, that does hurt.
Yeah, but he just scruffed Luke. Okay, that's all it was.
You guys, I want you to think of the deleted scene of him then securing Luke's hands. Luke not fighting back at all. He had to tie
his fate.
He had to tie up his hands and then make a noose to put around his neck.
Where did that come from?
And not
Where
once
did
did Luke
come from?
There's not a mark
he was
on
ready.
Luke. Okay, so we clearly know he didn't put up any sort of fight.
That's why I said he was like a kitten being scruffed by his mommy.
Oh, boy.
Being taken back home. Come with me, sir.
And he's just left holding hands at this point. It would have been
I'm like, he dragged him through the countryside to this pier, and Luke put up like zero fight. Your hands are tied together, but he's not holding you by your hands, Luke. He's holding you by this loose leash that you could have easily. You didn't even fight, Luke.
You didn't try.
You
wanted
didn't
this.
try.
He wanted this.
He wanted this
wanted
so
this.
He's
bad.
with his master.
He's with his
He's
master.
happy.
He wanted this deep down in his soul. He wanted somebody to take control and tell him what his next move was supposed to be.
He needed to be somebody's.
He did, Maggie. 100%.
Like, for real. Ebony, it's why he clung to Ebony. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yep.
This is who he is, yeah.
This is who Luke is. He's a sub at heart and trying to make decisions for himself were too much. It was too overwhelming. He needed somebody powerful who could feign caring about him, that's something Jaffa did. He would pretend to care about him. And Jaffa did validate him in a way that Ebony was like, "Did you think you were special?" Right? You know what I mean? But Jaffa would be like, "You are special to me, Luke." You know? He needed someone to tell him sweet lies.
Yeah.
The thing with Luke is we have seen him to some extent wrestle with that part of his personality and try, but then it just takes him over. His need to have somebody to tell him what to do.
See, that's why he and Ellie didn't work, because Ellie was like, "You're a free man. Use your freedom." And he was like, but...
Tell me how to use it!
I don't want my freedom.
She was like, "Go have some unsupervised free time." He was like, left to my own devices.
I know.
So if she had provided him with structure, he'd have been fine. Is that what we're saying?
Maybe.
He needed a routine. He needed a schedule.
Oh, Luke. You know what? This is a fitting send-off for him. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually
Being
a very
led away
fitting send-off.
by a rope with a...
I actually kind of like the moment at the pier. Okay, even though I didn't want Luke in the cage, I didn't want that scene. I hated it. The way he's captured, the way he doesn't fight it. It's all very annoying. But I did like Jaffa's maneuvering. He takes Luke, okay, drags him out there, spouting his propaganda or whatever. And then he goes, "You're free to go."
Yeah.
I really love that because it's like Luke doesn't want to be free to go.
And he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that. He's like, "You're free to go, but you're welcome to come with us. You can have a home again, Luke."
That's how he got him the first time.
Yeah, that's how we got him. I was like, that's actually kind of fitting for these two weird lovers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works so much better for
Just
Luke
come back home.
to go with him willingly.
Yeah. I won't
Because-
make you come with me, but I just want you to know I want.
You can.
I want you to. Yeah. Yeah.
We can start over. We can start fresh. It'll be beautiful. We'll just move town, leave our old friends. That was
It really
the
did
time.
sound like he was trying.
Yeah, it
a
totally
boyfriend.
did.
And he needs him to come willingly because he knows taking people against their will doesn't always work well for him.
Well, I mean, that's how he started The Chosen. You were allowed to join of your own free will and leave if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's how
He would have
got
forced
some-
Luke. Luke was still taking it.
Oh, yeah, Luke totally would have. But I just like this touch of the intelligence of Jaffa again and knowing his
If
audience.
Luke wouldn't have gone willingly, he wouldn't have been.
He would have. I can't see Luke turning it down, even if it was forced.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I
He
I mean,
still would have gone
this is
along.
what he needed and what he wanted.
I mean, or if Luke wouldn't have gone with the Guardian willingly, he probably would have ended Luke there and then.
Or at least at that point, it's almost like this is a test to see if Luke is still the one he needs by himself. You know, because the fact that Luke doesn't really fight him, and then he gives him the freedom to go. It's all like a test to see if Luke is still his man, still the person he can use and manipulate to achieve his goals. And it's a way of reestablishing their dynamic, you know, and Luke needs that. I mean, granted, I agree with you guys that if he'd been forced, it would be easier for Luke in his head because he could say, I didn't want to be, I didn't choose this. It was all against my will. But I do think it says something about their dynamic that Luke is given a choice. And I don't doubt for a second that he's going to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think the Guardian did either. And that's why he gave, to be honest, you know? Like, he knew Luke well enough to know that he's going to make the smart.
He needed to show him the proof that, yes, the believers are still out there. I've got a boat ready for me. Yep. They're still wearing their robes. Look. Hey, look, it's our favorite chosen, the sadist, right? There's still true believers out there, Luke. There's a promised land for us, but you're free to go. I just needed you to see with your own eyes that it still exists. The dream, remember?
And I'm not crazy.
Remember the house by the lake? I promised you. Come on.
I'll finally get it for you this time.
All right, let's return to the mall.
Let's hear it, Bray. Is he with Zoot?
Why don't you come inside, Ebony?
You hear that? The Guardian is no more! Ebony! Ebony! Hey, Lex. Ebony! You got Alice in there? Ebony! So let's see the heroine who finally had the guts to destroy the Guardian!
When Amber and Bray try to confront her, Ebony banishes them both from the city. They can never return on pain of death, including anyone who tries to aid them. Jostled and thrown rotten veg at, the two are forced to leave and they head to the outskirts by Lex. So yeah, was anyone shocked or surprised by this outcome? And what did you make of the crowd turning on the two?
It was actually kind of tame, considering that Ebony was like, I gotta get rid of them.
Yeah.
And we know she's not above murdering people or having them murdered. So the fact that she was just like, you're banished, I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, he doesn't want to kill Bray.
That's fine. That's actually awesome. Like, get the frick out of here.
I'm not surprised that it went this way, because when you think about, I mean, it's been heading this way, for Bray especially, all the way back from when they started to lie about the antidote. And the way they were trying to keep hold of power, and then the way that they felt that they could totally dominate the trial of the Guardian and sort of cut out everybody else's voices. You know, the mob have wanted someone to take their fury out on for a long time, and now they've been presented with two people who've basically stopped them at every turn. And it's not even about Amber, it's about Bray.
Yeah.
You know, they don't even really know who Amber is. Let's be real. The show goes out of its way to tell us that Amber's such a legend that even the mob know who she is. But in reality, it's Bray and his girlfriend.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what they might even remember from the whole trouble with the antidote. It was Bray and his girlfriend, even though it wasn't Amber.
Let's be honest. Let's go deeper than that. They might even just think that this is the same girl, just different hair color.
That's true.
So this is Danny.
Who?
She sounds the same. Yeah. The things she says are basically the same sort of stuff. And if you were just some little tribe that didn't do anything, weren't asked about nothing, like, let's, for instance, if you were the Mo, right? Yeah, you're insignificant, okay? You have been at the back of every meeting there has ever been. You would probably think this was Danny.
Yeah, and all the leaders that were there were taken away by the Guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of them came back.
Supposedly.
Yeah, but the people that, the people that they had around that table back then.
I'm not at all surprised that it went this way. It's been going this way for a long time.
Honestly, I'm just grateful that Amber didn't say a speech that immediately changed everybody's mind.
Yeah.
And sway everyone's opinion with a couple of sentences about justice and blah blah blah. Like, I'm not dissing Amber for her viewpoints. I'm just, let's be real. These people, like you said, I think you set it up great. These people have been looking for a place to unleash this rage, this grief that they've been told. Doesn't matter. We're just moving on. The things that have been done to you, the hurts you've suffered, the people you've lost, none of it matters. We're moving on. And we're not going to offer anything in its place. There's no release for that vow. And yeah, Bray is definitely the face of somebody who offers nothing. Like in season 2, they were trying to offer something, but since the Chosen have been defeated, they haven't offered anything to these people. They haven't actually brought forth plans or ideas for fixing the city. Ebony has, but not Bray.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, who the frick is Amber?
Yeah.
Well, the city leader gave them, the go.
Yeah,
green
like
light.
I have found the person for you. They're at the end of the day, Bray and Amber are in the minority.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the truth. The city doesn't agree with you. I think there's something very poignant about. Now, if this had been done better, this actually would be a really sad tragedy.
Yeah.
Because we know that Bray and Amber are coming from a decent place. They're not terrible people. They're kids who are doing the best they can. Okay. And since the beginning, all Amber especially has ever wanted is for everyone to work together and for the world to be better for everybody. And that has been her, that was her goal. And that was Danny's goal, to fix the world after her father broke it. Bray wanted the same things, and he bounced off of these women who were like, yeah, I have the idea. And he's like, cool, let's do this. And for them to end here with nobody agreeing with their methods or their vision for the future could be incredibly poignant if this wasn't such a messy season. That they're being rejected by the same people they were trying to save because their methods of saving them didn't actually service the people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It served their ideals, but they never really took into account these people and how they felt, their opinions. And they went out of their way to avoid dealing with these people or their opinions. And finally, the people said, get out. Who are the two of you to keep telling us how things should be? Now you want to take our leader? You want to take our city leader and accuse her of things when we voted for her. We voted for her.
Yeah, they did.
To be fair, literally just a couple of weeks ago, we had Ebony stopping the whole mob by telling the whole city what the two of them have done and the Morats in general. So just for the whole city to then suddenly go, it just
but that's the thing.
Yeah, but
it's
optics. The mob are
personally.
changeable.
Yeah.
The mob are changeable. That's the nature of the mob. You're in today, you're out tomorrow.
But it's also the optics. Think about this. Who do the mob trust?
Ebony.
They trust Ebony, the person they voted to be leader. So if Ebony is telling you that Bray and Amber are the problem, and you've never agreed with Bray anyway, and as Thompson said, all he and his girlfriend have done is stop you from enacting the rage that you have and then giving you no avenue of what to do with it or how to channel it.
No.
I'd also add to that
No, I'm not
as
buying
well.
that completely.
I'd also add to that, there's an element of we know better than you do. Ebony talks on the level of the mob. They understand her. They know where she's coming from. Their ideals align. Okay. Now, Bray and Amber have sometimes an element to them, which is we know what's best for you. You don't know what's best for yourself, and we will tell you how to live a life that we deem to be the right one. Okay. They've got a superiority about them.
Yeah.
And I think that if you've got a chip on your shoulder, or if you don't like being talked down to, who are you going to pick? Ebony, who talks at the same level as you. Now, we know who Ebony really is, and probably most of the people in that mob do as well. But when it comes to the Morats, there's just something superior and sanctimonious about them.
Yeah, and let's not forget this mob is here gathered, shouting for Alice to celebrate her, knowing fully well that, okay, if Alice killed the Guardian, these bloody mole rats are going to probably put her on trial. So Ebony does the smart thing. The people like what Alice did, so she pardons Alice instantly.
I just don't buy the way the crowd turned the mole rats. I hear what everything you guys are saying. I just don't think it works with the whole history. But I understand mob rule and in the moment.
I just don't buy the
I don't
throwing
buy it.
of food, but
Yeah, that going to that length. You know, it's not just okay, get them out. It's okay. We're gonna actually make a scene
Show
of you
some of
guys,
them.
and yeah, you being banished.
Shame.
Yeah, literally shamed out.
Physically hurt a pregnant woman.
That's the level that I don't get it at. Yeah, I get the other bits.
I will agree with this.
That's a step too far.
I agree with Lance that none of this is done well at all. Like, I'm not surprised, but the reason I'm not surprised is because the mob, the city, hasn't been given any sense of actual personality or viewpoint. They are whatever the script needs them to be at any given moment. The mob wants to destroy the mall until someone makes a speech, and then they stop. And then they're immediately like, oh, okay. Oh, we'll wait for a trial for the Guardian. That makes sense. Fine. Like, the mob is just immediately quelled. They don't have a viewpoint. They're not people. They're NPCs who are pulled in whenever we need to talk about the bigger picture. But again, we don't get to really meet any of these people except Maz. We don't get to really they discuss their problems, but at the end of the day, they are a faceless mask that causes problems for our heroes. So that's why I'm really not surprised that this is how it goes. Because who are the mob? The city, they don't have a personality. There are no tribes. The tribe leaders don't exist anymore. So we can't connect with them in any way. All we can do is predict that they're going to go the way the story wants it to go. And the story wants it to go this way. And it's like, yeah, they gave us the pieces for that to make sense. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, it would matter a lot more if we had made connections with people in the city and to see them turn on Bray and Amber, other city leaders that were their friends. It's like that, that moment with Danny and I think it was the demon dog leader or whatever, when the Chosen have all the tribe leaders and Danny is trying to stand up to Jaffa and, Jaffa's making his threats. And one by one, the other tribe leaders start getting down on their knees. And there was one who looks at Danny and she's like, please don't do this. And he's like, I'm sorry, Danny. And he gets down on his knees. That had poignancy because we knew who these people were. We knew what they were worried about, what they were afraid of. And that this did feel like a moment of betrayal for Danny, that none of them stood with her. But she gets on her knees too, because if she doesn't, they all die. There was a relationship. They were people. You know what I mean? So it mattered when Danny was the only one willing to stand up to the Chosen, and all the tribe leaders are looking at her like they're ashamed, but they're like, sorry, Danny, you know what I mean? I have people to protect too. I don't want to die. This guy's serious. It doesn't matter when this mob turns on Bray and Amber because they have no relationship with this mob. We don't have a relationship with them. They aren't people.
Okay, so that brings us to our final thoughts of the episode. So with the airplane soaring overhead, Amber and Bray buckle down in a barn in order to prepare for the sudden birth of their child. But there is a rather concerning shot of Bray's hand dripping with blood when he checks what state Amber is currently in. As her cries ring out, black uniformed soldiers begin to parachute out of the plane, and what sounds like an adult stating that the invasion forces have begun landing. So yeah, what did you make of the finale to Series 3?
They're free! They're free!
I appreciate your silver lining attempt. Like, I really do, but they were literally banished away from their family, away from everything that they would need, to give birth and all this other crap. Like,
their family can go with them. They should all just leave.
They should all just go. All of you. You should. They should have. Maybe they should. You're right. You're right.
For that little moment, Bray with his hands dripping with blood, my brain just went, are they really gonna give us a realistic ending to a teenage pregnancy, preterm labor in a barn? But no. A barn of all places. We have a shepherd.
I couldn't believe she went into labor.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I think it was on purpose, wasn't it?
Yes, it had to have been. Yep, absolutely it had to have been. That's no doubt.
It was purposeful, yeah.
As soon as they went into the barn, I'm like, oh, this looks familiar.
The audacity to call the Bramber baby the second coming. The Bramber baby is,
oh man.
Oh my god.
The Bramber baby is the yeah, but hang on.
This has been his thing all the time though.
The Bramber baby was Abba Messiah.
This whole Abba Messiah mythology that he's got playing in the background. This has been his whole goal anyway. Like I know.
Okay. If the Bramber baby is the Messiah, right? What does that make Brady? Is she the Antichrist?
Yeah. The anti to that, yeah. It would have been.
Yeah, the child was Zoot.
Oh my god!
Bray is the golden child, right? And then Martin.
This was the mythology playing behind the scenes that he's building up. Yeah, no, this is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that explains why Brady's life doesn't matter.
Oh no!
That's why her mom gets screwed over.
Well, we didn't write it.
Goodness.
That's why nobody searches for her.
Or maybe he would have flipped it. You know what I mean? Maybe Brady would have been the good one, and Bray would.
Right.
I mean,
No,
but
that's what I would have liked to have seen.
I would have loved
that's
that.
the
Bray could've been the bad
idea.
boy.
Little Damien being born.
Oh, God. This is all. No. I just remember thinking, I cannot believe they put her in labor. Because I remember watching it and noticing in those last, 4 episodes, Amber getting bigger and bigger, and I was like, what the frick is wrong with her? Because I just watched the episode last week. I'm like, okay, finally, they have her showing. And then the next week, I was like, wait, this is the same day. Why is she even bigger? And then when we got to this episode, I was like, wait the frick, what is going on with this pregnancy?
But at least she says it's too soon.
And I was like,
at least she does.
I remember thinking, what are they doing? They're not going to do what I think they're going to do. They can't be this dumb. And then when she went into labor, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. You have to be 14 years old to think this is good writing. You have got to be, you can't even be in high school yet to think this is good writing.
How else were they going to have her give birth in a barn?
They could have, next season.
No, they wanted it now.
It needed to be now because you know why. You know
oh
why.
my gosh, I could not believe.
Be there.
Yeah, but the joke is that she actually does have the baby next season.
See? So it's fine with both. We can all be happy.
This is such a jumping the shark moment. There's no going back after this. I will never take your show seriously again. What the frick? This is what I said. This is what somebody wanted so bad, and everything was done backwards to make this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we quickly had to, because Bray had to be there for the birth of his child, partially.
Or at least start of it. I mean, he had to at least know that it was coming.
Yeah.
It's too soon. Yeah, it's 5 months too soon, Amber.
5 months, yeah. You are 4 months along.
This is not viable.
No.
They just realized they needed to have it for the finale, and then everything else had to follow from that. Everything.
Listen, she's going to be in labor for 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
Does anyone else, talking about bad places to leave stuff, so we've had Alice, but does anyone not feel like this is a really unsatisfactory way to end Bramber?
Yeah.
It is. No, it is. I really thought that I was ready. I thought that I was ready for this episode to come, because I know that the next episode we only get that little, a little snippet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this to be over, I guess, even though they did drive me crazy.
I think it speaks to the cautionary tale of making a couple the crux of your entire storytelling machine.
Yeah.
Because everything was built up around Bramber, and then they lost Dwayne. And it's you literally lost the foundation. You made it your foundation. It wasn't originally, but you decided in season 3 that Bramber was going to become the foundation of everything, every story you wanted to tell.
Well, even in season 2?
Not even in season 2, really. That was just an element of the show, but it wasn't the foundation. But season 3, they definitely wanted it. That's when you see everything just becomes an orbiting factor around Bray and Amber. Everybody else's stories start to become cut short and not as important because Bramber's the only thing that truly matters. And the danger of that is what happens when you cannot continue the relationship. They make you hang on with hopes and prayers.
Yeah.
That Bray's going to come back, even though I highly doubt that once Dwayne left, they were actually ever planning on bringing him back. But they wanted to make sure that you held on to the hope, because they had literally hinged everything on that relation.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what this is. That you know what I mean? I don't even think in this finale they knew that they wouldn't have Dwayne for season 4. This was the beginning of their...
Yeah, I don't think they knew yet.
Their holy family in the wilderness. And then it had some triumphant return to the city or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, that's the danger, because this is how you left Brambers. And then you were like, crap, what do? We need to replace him eventually with somebody, but we'll just make you hold on to thinking you'll get it back.
It's a literal bloodbath. We lose Bramber, we lose Bray, we lose Casey, we lose Alice, we lose Tyson. We lose all these amazing characters all at once, and it's just wow.
Ellie and Ellie are gone.
But going back to Lex and Tyson, I don't think they share a single sentence with each other in this final episode. I might be wrong, but I don't think that they're in scenes together because they're on that. So that's it.
What a shame.
So the last thing that we have is the Guardian goading Lex with, "Do you think I slept with Tyson?" And Tyson saying that she doesn't think Lex will back them.
Yeah.
That's the end of, that's the last time. Well, I mean, we are going to see him again, but again, that's so fleeting. And it's also open-ended because you don't know whether he's going to pick, whether it's going to be Siva or Tyson, or whether they're going to move forward. One of them's going to, like, Siva's going to say no, and maybe Siva and Tyson's going to get together. But the point is, at this point, this is the last time we're ever really going to see them together. And this is the send-off. They don't even get a scene.
They just didn't care.
And that is the same. Well, that's the same for so many of these characters.
Yeah.
Casey, like you say, back to the beginning, I've got a scam, forgotten about Ned. Callie and he might as well not be there.
Yeah. So, I mean, this goes back to one of the original points. So, are they trying to tell me that they didn't know all of these actors weren't coming back?
There's no way.
There's no way you didn't know half the cast weren't coming back. So why didn't you plan?
That's why they used this invasion.
So why not plan for it? Why not give them the send off? Why not write them off properly?
Because they didn't care. They just did not care. I mean, you saw how they
half
so
your
very
cast
easily
is wiped out.
wrote off Pats. Like I think they had.
I think Ryan is the only character in season 3 that Dal and Ryan are the only characters who left the show in season 3 that got a proper send off. Everybody else is unceremonious, and they want us to believe that they didn't know that all of these people were leaving,
which is ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
We're crazy. I don't understand it.
I mean, maybe they didn't know all of them. Maybe
one or two you didn't know, but how can you know that half your cast is not going to come back?
Come on. Yeah, exactly. And I guess the other side of it is you don't want to give the audience the clue that these people aren't coming back, but throw us a bone. Let us have some scenes, some nice scenes to finish it out with. Yeah. And I would also say, do they actually, I'll tell you what I think was actually going on here. What I think was going on here is that they think that the audience is so fickle that just a new cast of characters will just be something to divert the eye.
Well, it clearly worked.
I mean, I've been saying, all season they think we're dumb.
But I'm not sure it did work, though.
I don't know. The jingling of keys lasted another 2 seasons.
A lot of people
listen to the praise of season 4 and 5. A lot of people, they were willing to sacrifice some of their original audience.
Oh yeah, obviously, the whole season 4 was a whole.
Yeah, because
we're moving on with or without you. You know what I mean? This wasn't a.
And a lot of people did. Their first introduction to the show was season 4.
Yeah. It worked in that context, but
I think the problems with season 4 and 5 is that they weren't working on. They were focused so on the jingling of the keys that they didn't focus on longevity, and I think that's part of why it didn't continue. It didn't last. Because what was there to follow?
Well, yeah.
What was there to truly be invested in? What was there to actually care about? You can be entertained. You can have fun. But how invested are you after a while that you can't get from anywhere else? What makes it special anymore? What makes it unique? Better things to watch.
Yeah, if you're basically showing me that you don't care about any of these characters, so why should I care?
Yeah.
Basically, you're throwing them all away. Not even a conclusion, not even an open-ended conclusion. You know what I mean? You don't have to give them an ending, but nothing.
Yeah.
Just wow.
It's also one positive thing. I really like that shot of Bray and Amber in the barn. The lighting is incredible. That set. I don't know if it was a true location. I don't know if the interior was actually the same place that they got the exterior shot of the barn. But it's a really gorgeous shot even though now I can't ever dissociate from the holy metaphor, unfortunately. But it is a very gorgeous shot of, Amber down there and Bray checking on her and becoming a little concerned, even though it's like, Bray, of course it's childbirth. It's bloody. That's nothing. You know what I mean? But I get it, for a young audience, that's concerning. And then he hears the noise and he gets up to look at the sky through the rafters of the barn. Gorgeous shot. I like it. I think that's all shot very well, even if it's ludicrous what's happening. And that's it. That's my last shot of Bray. I'm like, that's how we went out? Really?
It was
I feel like you need a in memoriam,
Couldn't
That's
even
your
be bothered to film him getting captured.
Legacy.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know. They just reused some footage of them getting picked up by the horse traders.
I think that leads the credence that they didn't know he was going to go. The fact that they didn't have anything on film.
Rumor is that wasn't it sudden?
What a legacy. So sad. That's so sad. When you think of Bray and Alice and Casey, like, I'm not including the twins simply because
the Guardian.
When I think about, and Tysan, when I think of the legacy that these characters were left with, you massacred their characters. Even though I think Bray stood out the best in season 3 of all of them, but he doesn't end it well, unfortunately. But most of these characters got massacred in the season, and that's what we were left with. That's the legacy you left them with.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Oh my gosh.
But I would add to that, they're leaving on a high, because what is coming for some of the remainder of the cast are staying is worse than this.
Oh boy.
I mean, the assassination that they're going to do on some of these people is just...
It gets to the point where it's just like, you're lucky if you leave the show on your own terms and you got a decent ending. Like, you're lucky. Because, you know what I mean? Because otherwise it's just like, if you decide to stick around, not much good is going to come of it for your character. Or, if this is a career you take seriously, you're an actor, it means something to you. You're not going to get it here. On the surface, this is an exciting finale. Even if it's like, I remember watching it and being like, what the frick is going on? I was excited because it's like, okay, this is such a mess. I can't wait to see you fix it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you fix it in the next season. Which only adds to the disappointment of the next season. But like, there is that sense of, okay, kind of can't wait to see what this is about. Planes and stuff like these paratroopers.
Especially if, like, the first time we saw this, we did not know that certain characters were not going to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, like, the kind of the feeling in the fandom back on the iBoards back in the day was like, these were adults coming back. And that generated a lot of excitement, I remember, back in the day. Everyone thinking, this would shake up the show, but we introduced a good dynamic that actually might have worked. But
what's going to happen now if the adults are back?
Yeah.
A very Lord of the Flies sort of thing.
I remember seeing it and feeling, because I remember seeing it and thinking, I've got a really bad feeling for a lot of these characters. But at the time, I didn't know why. And it's not a false memory. I genuinely, I've got I found a diary entry when I was little, and I'd, written about the finale in it. And it's like, because you could feel that something seismic was going to happen.
Well, there's planes.
Yeah,
exactly. There's the plane.
There's a plane.
No.
Sorry, I was just thinking.
My bad.
The total thematic changes that we're going to get thrown at us, like,
it's just insane. It just feels like a different show from here on.
It does.
Yeah. Well, it's a reboot, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's a reboot.
Yeah.
This is why we don't do reboots.
And they're going to have another one, aren't they? Because, I mean, I would say that season 5 is essentially
season 5 is like a softer
launch,
version of that.
It's a soft launch. And it's even a soft launch to spread out the world a bit, because I think that they, by that point, had realised that the mall was too small. and that they hadn't developed the city enough, and that's
And
why
those people
we were in
suck.
Liberty. Yeah.
Well, again, the original group, the world, since they didn't do anything with it, it became boring.
Yeah.
It was boring. They were bored with the characters, which is
Yeah.
why they don't really do anything with them. It's like they just introduce some new people who are more interesting, you know, because it's like we don't know what else to do with these boring characters. We feel like we've done everything we can. So let's just create new people, you know, who are kind of like them, but with just a new gloss of paint on them and put them through the same stupid storylines.
And again.
And again, you know. But it's a new face, so.
But I mean, I think by the end, it had just run out of road. It had not. There weren't enough characters left from the original, and what was there was so underdeveloped. And we spent less time in the mall. We spent more time in the hotel and more time in Liberty than we did in the mall. And it felt like we were growing out of that, and it just ran out of road. But it kind of starts now. It started in season 3.
We ran out of road and went up in the air.
Yeah, we went up in the air.
On an
We
airplane.
got planes. Everyone got planes. That's the thing. Season 3, everyone's got a plane. The Chosen
Everyone,
have got
yeah.
a water plane.
Yeah.
The Technos have got a plane. You know, I'm just waiting
Pretty
for Brady
crazy.
to bring out her plane. You know,
Here comes the airplane.
exactly. Yeah.
If it was just a plane, I could have dealt with that. We get zappers, technology,
Pew, pew.
AI, computers, grenades. We get the whole 9 yards. We get
Whole
everything
shebang.
thrown.
Welcome to the future, guys.
Ooh,
I mean, the AI stuff's not wrong. If they had weird hands, it would be more realistic.
we literally go from what Dow had like a massive Apple Mac in series 1 to the stuff we get. Oh wow!
They're still doing it on those massive Apple Macs, though. Have you noticed?
It's a virtual reality for me. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
are
that.
you
Ooh.
freaking kidding me?
Yeah, it's the future.
Oh my word.
I shall
At
be
that time, it's
defending
the
the
future.
technology, won't I be?
Ugh, good luck.
I mean, I know we make fun of the timeline of the tribe so many times. It's been like what, 2 years ish?
Yeah, we're gonna give it 2 at
2 at a
most.
max.
A lot has happened,
From
okay?
series 1.
A lot has happened.
Well, especially because the pregnancies are really short. So we need.
They are super short.
Yeah, series 4 is a head case to me, but yay.
I think season 3 is really upsetting because it's such a lost opportunity. You know, season 2 set us up really well at the end of season 2. It was an exciting finale. We didn't know where it was going to go, and we'd actually seen our protagonist lose. And that was a really interesting place for everyone to be in, right? And then we get to season 3 and they throw everything away. And the back of it is so baggy. You know, there's not a coherent storyline once the Chosen fall. Everything is just random, rambling, the same things over and over again. Things just happen because we need to do something now. And that is the problem with this. It is just one large missed opportunity.
It's no longer a focused storyline for the season. It's no longer a coherent theme over the season. It's no longer a coherent A to Z.
Yeah.
Like, how did we get here? It's chasing the white rabbit the entire season.
But you've not seen the rabbit. It's disappeared. It's in your mind.
It's the plane.
We've started this season with Amber still being dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I guess I can just say, though, they got my attention. I'll say that. But at what cost? Like, with this finale, you got my attention, but you did nothing with it once you had it. So it was the cost of all of these flashy, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Until you can't continue the show anymore.
And that's it. That brings Series 3 to a close. And before we embark on a brand new chapter of the show, I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone who's helped make this podcast a reality. All our amazing podcast presenters, Liz, Sabine, Maggie, Tamsin, Hill, Carlin. This could not have happened without you. And a wonderful thank you to our guests. A wonderful thank you, obviously, to Matt, who does all the podcast notes alongside me. And yeah, for you, the viewers, who've helped make this a fantastic, amazing experience. And including specials, we will now hit 160 episodes with the start of Series 4. So yeah, we will see you then. Until next time. Bye.
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 Bye.